Episode 11 of the new Digimon Adventure remake kind of casually blew my mind this week by looping in iconic Digimon that have essentially been exclusive to Tamers, Frontier, and the Digimon World video games. It was subtle but kind of huge for long-term Digimon fans, because it opens the door to seeing other iconic Digimon from other series down the road. Royal Knights appearing in the adventure canon, anyone? Episode 11 tracks Matt, Sora, and Joe's voyage through the desert, where they find themselves quickly outmatched by what they suspect to be a sand-dwelling, ultimate-level Digimon. We quickly see its power level through this totally gruesome execution of another Digimon. Thankfully it's not Pihomon, Gabumon, or Goemon here. The Digidestined pull off an escape and they find a refuge in this cave where they meet Bearmon from Digimon World, Neimon from Digimon Frontier, and two Labramon from Tamers and also from Digimon Survive, it looks like. It appears at least Neimon can speak here, and I really liked this. I was recently reading a thread sharing thoughts about Digimon 2020, and one of the main criticisms the author had was how they missed how in the original series virtually every Digimon could talk, wherein in this new show it seems like only the Chosen Children's Digimon and some select villainous Digimon can speak. So hearing a Digimon that isn't a main character speaking with the kids was this kind of nostalgic delight, and I'm hoping we'll get more of it. So these crossover Digimon, they're looking across the desert to reach a Digimon named Leomon. We know the name. And it's here we get another bit of world building. We find out that as the dark forces we've met are in fact growing, so too is this resistance movement led by Leomon. Bearmon, Neimon, and Labramon aren't exactly strong enough to contribute their fighting force to this rebellion, but they have heard that Leomon will protect them. They ask the human children for help crossing the desert. Sora and Joe are happy to oblige since they're all heading the same way, but Matt tells the group they just can't afford to be slowed down when Tokyo still is in danger. They have a bit of a falling out and Matt leaves with Gabumon following behind. Sora and Joe recommit to helping their new friends and they set off as a group even without Matt and Gabumon. I really liked seeing Sora and Joe take action here. Sora's always been pretty outgoing, but Joe especially. Think back to 3 episodes ago when he was waving Sora's towel as a surrender flag at the first sign of conflict. They are, of course, confronted once again by these air-owning Digimon, plus the Sand Scorpion Ultimate, and try as they might, things aren't looking so great. They're just outnumbered and outleveled. Just when things are looking dicey though, we get our boy Matt re-entering the scene with this buzzer-beater Sora save. There's nothing overt here in terms of romance, so maybe I'm just projecting, but I have to wonder if the show is playing with the Sora-Matt ship here. I mean, it's not like Joe was seconds away from defeat and Matt swooped in to save Joe. I digress. Matt reveals that he actually exited the group earlier because he knew Sora and Joe would make a commotion, and that it was this perfect setup for a sneak attack. He learned this in round 1 when it became clear the enemy ultimate was using something like echolocation. I don't know how this 10-year-old kid became a master tactician. He must be playing a lot of strategy games, or maybe he's got an early copy of Digimon Survive. Garurumon is able to do just enough damage to expose Scorpionmon and get him out of the sand, but it's not enough to win. Garurumon is quickly caught, just like that Digimon from the beginning of the episode that got popped earlier. Matt has this moment where he realizes he's not just fighting for him and his little brother, but in fact for Sora, Joe, even Tai. And that sweet friendship crest we all know appears on his Digivice, marking the arrival of WereGarurumon. I was pretty stoked to see WereGarurumon here, and I thought the animation in this fight ruled. But his introduction to the series arrived with a new criticism for me personally. I don't love that, at least so far, the moment a new ultimate arrives, it's just game over for the enemy. Especially because the enemy is an ultimate as well. We saw it first with Metal Tyrannomon, and now again with Scorpiomon. If you had said Scorpiomon wasn't an ultimate, just maybe a really powerful champion, then sure, getting an ultimate on the team and having him one-shot the enemy would be fine. But the fact that it's an ultimate versus an ultimate, I thought the fight should have been a little more even. WereGarurumon practically one-punch-manned his way through this fight. After the battle ends, Matt opens up to Joe and Sora, telling them about his younger brother who lives in Tokyo, Takeru, or TK for Western fans like me. The fact his younger brother may be in peril is what's been driving him to press on with the mission and see it through. Maybe this was always the case, but I really love that in the new series, Matt explicitly does not live in Tokyo. Between Willis and the Digimon movie, Mako and Tri, or the various kids from the 02 World Tour, I always loved anytime the show touched on the premise of chosen children living in different parts of the world and connecting through the digital world. It's kind of like real life. It's how we engage with the internet. I mean, we all have those internet friends, so I think it just adds something to Matt's character that he literally lives in a different region than the other kids, and it's not just a different district or neighborhood in Tokyo. Joe is like me, he's pretty thrilled to hear Matt open up and jokes about sharing his backstory. Sora says, hey, we've already heard your backstory, Joe. Joe says something like, yeah, but Matt hasn't heard it yet, which got an actual laugh out of me. I'm giving episode 11 an 8 out of 10. It would have been a 7 if it weren't for the inclusion of Neymon, Bearmon, and Labramon, which again, on the surface, don't change much in this episode per se, but just opens up a Pandora's box, a whole new world of potential. Are we going to see Terriermon, Renamon? Digimon Adventure kind of has its toy box of regular characters like Devimon, Ogremon, etc. And so seeing anything new was like a shock to the system. A good shock, that is. Let me know in the comments which non-adventure series Digimon you're hoping to see. Who's on your wish list? Again, if I get a Terriermon cameo, I'm going to lose my mind. If you haven't already, please check out my last video in which I somehow managed to get Stephen Page, the former lead singer of the Barenaked Ladies, to talk to me about his song 1 Week being in the Digimon movie and whether or not he knew what a Digimon is. It's a ridiculous video and I kind of still can't believe it really happened, so definitely check it out. Thanks, and please subscribe to the channel. I've got more reviews coming and more non-review video ideas, kind of like the Stephen Page video. Just interesting stories and trivia that Digimon fans will enjoy, whether or not they caught up on the new show. Okay, see you next week.